So I am joined by Abhi Rajendran, who is the Director of Energy Intelligence's Research and Advisory Group. Good morning, or good afternoon rather. So the theme of the conference this year has been strategies for the energy transition. Do you think we're seeing real commitment from the oil industry?
Thanks for having me. It's been an interesting day and a half of the conference so far, and I think the answer to your question is yes. I think we kicked off the conference with Saad Al Kaabi at Qatar Petroleum, and the first thing that he talked about was the fact that yes, he has to grow his LNG business, but that it has to be accompanied by a lower carbon footprint, and that's kind of been a constant theme so far at the conference, especially yesterday at the gas LNG focus day with Total, with Shell, and on along down the list. Is that everyone realizes that there is this backlash against the industry, and that now is the time for greater focus on this and to find solutions, entering the next decade.
So what are you hearing that these companies are actually trying to do about this and change?
And this is the question that has not yet been answered yet by the industry. I think we are hearing bits and pieces of the solution at the conference. It's a little bit challenging because every company has its own unique business model, right? So there's no one size fits all solution to how companies go about this. For some, it may be pushing more towards the power, electricity sides of the business. For some, who have the experience with renewables and with the green energy, it's doing more there. And for others, they are very much in catch-up mode. And so I think the one thing that we haven't heard too much of so far is a cohesive set of solutions across the industry, and a lot of very specific details, because I think the industry is still trying to gauge the temperature of how to go about doing this going forward.
Okay, and what do you think this will mean for oil and gas consumption going forward?
Yeah, one of the interesting comments that I picked up yesterday was I think it was from a gentleman from Total, who said that we were talking about energy transition, and specifically for gas, but gas has already been a part of the transition that's happened so far. And so the growth in demand for gas, has been robust over the last couple of years, and will continue to be. And to your question on what does it mean for oil and gas, right? I mean, I think it's two very separate questions. I'll touch on gas because I started talking about it, but in our view, we still see this fairly robust outlook for gas demand, at least over the next 10 years, because you can't get to a destination of a totally different world in terms of electricity consumption 10 years from now. So gas plays an important role over the next decade, whether it's a transition or a destination. Now, oil is in a slightly different bucket, right? So oil has, obviously there's different components of how oil is used, whether it's gasoline or jet fuel or diesel or what have you. And there are immediate headwinds to large pieces of that oil demand pie. And there are other areas like petrochemicals, and certain areas that have a little bit more longevity. But in our view, I think where the industry probably needs to get a little bit more clarity is the fact that some of the secular headwinds to the oil side of your demand question are a lot more urgent and immediate, even over the next 5 years. And this is not a 2030 to 40 question.
Okay. And we are currently on day 2 of the conference. What else are you hoping to hear out of the rest of our time here?
Yeah, so yesterday was focused largely on gas LNG, which is a perfect way to start talking about the energy transition. Today we kind of started talking about oil, but we certainly have a lot more to dive into on the oil side, as well as downstream, which we'll get into tomorrow as well. My specific focus area is more around the U.S. markets, right? And I think this is something that I'm interested in kind of hearing more about what folks are talking about at the conference. One of the things yesterday, specific to gas LNG day, is that everyone just sort of assumed that there's going to be a large group of additional U.S. LNG projects, and that there was all this gas available to supply it. And our view from our research is that it's a lot less certain that this gas supply will be there. And similarly on oil, right? I mean, oil, U.S. oil in particular, has been kind of the big disruptor in the market, in the global market, and it's forced OPEC to do a lot more than it planned to. It's forced other actors to kind of change course. And so, what I'm looking to learn more the rest of today and tomorrow is how. What takeaways we're hearing on shale. I'm hosting a shale panel tomorrow with a lot of the big players, and also what the industry thinks about shale, and how how much more it is going to be disruptive, going into the 2020s. So.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thank you.